Welcome to Unity of Charlotte, where our mission is to nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles. And simply put, we're here to love, grow, and serve. I'm Reverend Pat Dre, and I'm delighted to be with you this morning. When I left from home, it was 28 degrees. And as I got closer to Charlotte, it was 33 degrees. But here's the other thing I noticed. There were very few cars out this morning. And as I was driving along, I was delighted with the thought that so many people decided to stay huddled under the covers for another 40 winks. And here we are at Unity of Charlotte, toasty warm, in our homes, on Zoom or YouTube, connecting with our wonderful Unity congregation. Let's start today's service by sharing our statement of oneness, and let that lead us into our opening prayer. There is one presence and one power in my life and the universe, God, the good omnipotence. And I'm going to introduce my prayer this morning by saying that this has been an unusual week with some unusual and, depending on your connection with the news and the details, disturbing, the situation in our capital this week. And I think it's all the more important for us at this time to turn to prayer. You know, Unity of Charlotte stands in prayerful support for those in and around the capital area and everyone affected by the violence and the impact on our sisters and brothers here and around the world. And I wanted to address this in prayer this morning. And it has applicability to this week, but it's applicable always, because there are disturbances to our peace and our peace of mind, opportunities for disturbance if we choose, and we need to, in our full humanity and on our spiritual journey, know how to address that within and take action with. So join me in prayer right now by relaxing in place, by taking a deep, deep breath and letting it go. And knowing that this inspiration and expiration is not only vital to our physical being, but inspiration and expiration, taking in and letting go, is part of who we are, no matter what plane we're on. And so here we are. Know with me that there is only one, an ever-loving and ever-peaceful source. And I know for myself that I am part of that source, and I am made of the very same ingredients, the very same God DNA. We recognize that we are a whole living system, which includes those in and around the capital this week and always. These are our people. We share the human experience with all living beings. And we know that what happens at our capital affects those in the US and all people. And we are a part of this precious oneness. And I underline that word precious right now in my heart and in my mind. Precious. And I, for a moment, discard any judgments about anything or anybody, because prayer is about oneness. Prayer is about the shift in consciousness. And it comes from one place, and that is God energy and God energy thoughts. And that's where I am right now. I know that I affirm that I am capable of creating a healthy, harmonious relationship with all people, those I encounter, those that I know, and those that I have not connected with in a face-to-face way just yet. And this includes all of the people around the Capitol, in Washington, D.C., throughout the United States, and throughout the world. So today, I and all of you here at Unity look beyond our own life to decisively create harmony at this most important time. I see beyond my own life to my relationship to my government and to all human beings. I know that I'm personally called, and I believe we're all called to reach out and not close down. I believe that I'm called to love, not separate. I know that I'm called to action and not complacency. And like the butterfly effect, I know that what happens anywhere around the globe affects each and every one of us. Spirit's wisdom, God's intelligence, and the will of life to love guides every one of us to reach out in a helpful, prayerful hand to our nation's capital, to our government, to all of our precious human beings in the United States and our precious human life around the globe. My heart is filled with gratitude for the love and guidance I have received now and in every moment of need. And I am truly grateful for 2020 as I release it and welcome the new year. It's a new start, and it's an opportunity to love, to truly love, regardless of circumstances. And it is an opportunity for me to be at peace with my ever and every prayerful thought and prayerful prayer. And so I know that this is a powerful idea that I integrate into my life, my experience this week, and my thoughts. And I know that releasing it and allowing the blessings to flow is the very best way to live my life. And join with me in saying, and so it is, Amen. And so take another deep breath and come back with us and hear what's going on at Unity of Charlotte. On Monday, on the third Sunday, the women's group meets at 11:30 on Zoom, and you're encouraged to bring your lunch if you'd like, and bring a beverage. Probably a warm beverage would be nice. And join in with a vitalizing, and refreshing conversation with your sisters. You can call or email Barbara Rolfe to get included on the Zoom link. Our Unity of Men's group meets at the church on the second and fourth Wednesdays from 9:30 to 11 a.m. We may have a change in venue in the future, but we'll announce that when we know. And come and join in this in-person discussion. And this is for men, and these men are powerful and have a loving, amazing consciousness. There is an affirmative prayer and meditation group that meets on Tuesday evenings at 7:15 p.m. by Zoom. This wonderful group sets a prayerful energy for the church, the city, and the world, something that is needed now.
It's going to be after the service from now on.
Okay. So I was just alerted by Alan that it's taking place as of this coming week, right after service, which is going to be a marvelous time because you won't have to interrupt the flow of your experience of the service. You can just stay afterwards and be part of this very dynamic alignment and meditation. Dialogues Service is a class that Barbara Rolfe offers, and it's a powerful class that meets on Wednesday mornings from 10:30 to 12 p.m. Please join us. Wonderful group. You'll be glad you did. Our book club is meeting today at 1 p.m. They're starting a new book. You're going to want to be involved, so please join that Zoom call. We also have our important town hall meeting coming up on January 24th. Now, I'm going to tell you the topic of this, but then I'm going to say something right afterwards that you're going to want to really hear to set this in your mind in the proper perspective. We're going to meet on the bylaws changes. Now, some people, when you say bylaws, they say, oh, how boring. And some people say, it doesn't pertain to me. And other people say, get me there. I want to get into the details. So here's why, if you belong to the second or third group, while I'll understand the instantaneous thought that might go through your mind, let me tell you, these changes were made because of our mission-centric vision and also our incredible work with some helpful people at Unity Worldwide Ministries who helped us fine-tune in this time of COVID to prepare for other emergencies and to do our business well and properly. So I promise it will not be tedious. I will be very willing to answer each and every question about the changes. And I think you're going to like it and get a new perspective of life here at Charlotte, because our bylaws are very important to us in terms of being our most essential guideline as to how we conduct our overall business. So please join us on January 24th for this interesting discussion so that you can hear about the proposed bylaws changes and then be ready for our town hall meeting, our annual meeting on January 31st, where you'll get a very good overview of everything about Unity of Charlotte. And I promise you, good news. It is good news, and it is a bright future for us. And we're so glad you're with us. So those are our announcements for now. And I want to thank you for being with us this morning on Zoom or YouTube. We love it that you join us a little ahead of time and that you stay a little bit afterwards to have some conversation with your fellow congregants and your friends. It's an important time. There was a fun discussion this morning, and all I can say is when Reverend Jim and Reverend Kay go out for their afternoon bike ride, you will know who they are. They are bundled up in fur from head to foot. They will probably look more like, well, I'll just say Bigfoots, two Bigfoots going down the street, wrapped in fur, but with big smiles on their face. And that adorable mustache that Reverend Jim has, it'll have just a little bit of frost on it too. So anyway, just saying what they're doing, a little bit of what I learn when I'm on the Zoom call a little bit early. If anyone you know is in need of prayer, do, like so many do these days, go to our website, click on our prayer line. We are open and ready, and we respond in action with prayer to your requests. And so please take advantage of who we are and what we are about. We are about prayer. We are about action. We are about smoothing the way on the spiritual journey. And we are joyful and happy to be part of your spiritual support system. And please know you can also call Silent Unity 1-800-NOW-PRAY for a personal affirmative prayer. They are also always ready for you. I'm now happy to hand it over. Welcome back, Reverend Jim. We really missed you over the holidays. We hope you had a refreshing time, that you were safe and sequestered in place with other people who are equally sequestered, small groups, of course. And glad to have you back, and glad to have you here to talk about this vital topic, especially now, the hero's journey. Welcome.
Thanks. So if you want to join with me, you can read this along as I read it. Together we read. My life begins anew this day and every day. A new day has been given me. Let me not tie it to the past or push it into tomorrow. In joyful union with my loving Creator, Let me celebrate and live this day fully. My life begins anew this day and every day. And so it is. Well, this is usually when I do a traditional meditation. I'm going to suggest something a little different this week. As Reverend Pat said, last week was a challenge for many people in many ways. For some fearful, for some frustrating. And of course, when our minds get spinning, it's often A, difficult to stop them, and B, difficult to know what to do. What we need to do is find a way to come back to peace. So I'm going to share with you a little breathing prayer that I did last week. I'll invite you to join me as I do it. And I used it to get myself and my world back to peace. And it was very simple. I simply breathed in and said, peace silently, said, peace within me, peace within my heart, On the in-breath, peace within my heart. On the out-breath, peace within my mind. On the next in-breath, peace within my world. And then I just let the last out-breath go silently. Peace within my heart, peace within my mind, peace within my world, and let it go. So try that with me. You can even close your eyes if you want. Just on the in-breath, peace within my heart, peace within my mind. Next in-breath, peace within my world, and let it go. We'll do that a few more times. Peace within my heart. Release peace within my mind. Peace within my world. Breathe out. Again, as we breathe in, peace within my heart. Peace within my mind. Peace within my world. And release. Breathing in, peace within my heart. Breathing out, peace within my mind. Breathing in, peace within my world. And letting go. A few more times. Peace within my heart. Peace within my mind. Peace within my world. Peace within my heart. Peace within my mind. Peace within my world. Peace within my heart. Peace within my mind. Peace within my world. Let's just rest there in the silence for a few moments. And as we continue to feel that breath moving through us, once again we take an in-breath. And with that in-breath, just breathe in the thought, peace within my heart. Out-breath, peace within my mind. In-breath, peace within my world. Last time, peace within my heart, peace within my mind, peace within my world. And so it is. I'm going to share a little song with you now. Janice Stanfield sharing a beautiful song. Just enjoy this and then I'll share a message with you.
You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings. And with every step you take, bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is there in every gift you give. Love your life, love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing. Oh, the places you will go and the people you will know. Don't worry when or where or how. You don't need to know that now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. Just enjoy what this day brings. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. You don't have to work it out. Just stay in the here and now. Let your mind rest for a little while. Sometimes deepest answers come when you're out there having fun. So close your eyes and take a breath and smile. Amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing
Amazing things. You can find that and some other of Jana's music on YouTube. So sometimes it's helpful to find something like that and just let it kind of speak to your soul. Well, welcome again. I'm Jim Fuller. If any of you are just tuning in, I'm a guest speaker here at Unity of Charlotte. And I'm discovering that there is maybe a little plus to our new earlier service time. And that is that we can come here to Unity of Charlotte and then we can check out other things in the morning as well. Some Sundays, Kay and I do what we used to call church hopping. Sometimes when we were visiting other cities, we go to one service in the morning and a later service in the day, maybe even an evening service, and just get ideas and get connections all over the place. So now that we have our service here earlier, I can come to church here with Unity of Charlotte, and then some Sundays maybe go check out my friends in Albany, New York, or my friends in San Diego, California. A wonderful opportunity for inspiration on many fronts. I mention that because a couple weeks ago, I was inspired for this topic by a service I saw by my friend Reverend Kevin in San Diego. Reverend Kevin was talking about Joseph Campbell's idea of the hero's journey. Now, that was nice. I knew about that, but it was also an interesting coincidence for me because at that time I happened to be reading Joseph Campbell's Asia Journals. This is the book about Japan called Saki and Satori. I had just read his travels in India. These are books that they're his journals from his travels in the mid-50s as a young professor traveling and studying religions and mythologies all around the world. Those led to Joseph Campbell's most famous book called The Hero of a Thousand Faces. Hero of a Thousand Faces, looking at the similarities between mythologies and religions worldwide. And then eventually to the PBS series that most of you have probably seen called The Power of Myth with Bill Moyers, looking at Campbell's work. Both focus on comparative religion and mythology and the similarities and the overlaps. So, coincidence says, what's this all about when my friend Kevin starts talking about the hero's journey? Well, you know, from Campbell's perspective, a hero isn't simply someone who does something risky or dangerous. A hero is someone who makes a journey, goes on an adventure, usually outer, sometimes inner, and through that adventure becomes transformed themselves, and then comes back to their community or their world as a transformational presence. Now, in Unity, we often say we're on a spiritual journey. Each of us is on our own spiritual journey. Sometimes we wonder who the hero of our journey is going to be. But of course, it is our journey. And so that kind of points to who the hero is going to be. It reminds me that eventually we all get to wake up to the inner hero or the inner heroine that is present. We begin to uncover strengths and abilities and things that we never knew we had. And as we do that, we grow and we transform. Share a little story with you this morning. I know I appreciate Reverend Sally's stories. This story came up. It's a story about inspiration and motivation. It's actually a story about old Charlie, who'd been hanging out at the village tavern all evening, having a few pints, and decided to head home as usual. And his way to get home was to cut through the local churchyard, as many people would in the small villages in England. I've done that before. And cutting through the churchyard, most of the churches had a graveyard right beside the churchyard. And what Charlie didn't notice that night was there was a freshly dug grave right on the edge of the churchyard. And poor Charlie, he stumbled right into it, fell down in this deep, dark grave. He's looking up, he's trying to get out. He tries to scramble, but the sides are slippery. It's too deep. He's had a few too many pints and he just can't get out. So he pulls his coat up around him, hunkers down in one corner of the grave, and figures he's going to have to sleep there until he can get someone to get him out in the morning. So Charlie falls asleep. Well, a little later, Patrick, too, is leaving the tavern, heading back toward his house and cutting past the churchyard because that is the local shortcut. And Patrick as well stumbles into this open grave and falls in the end opposite Charlie. Thud. He looks up, it's tall. He starts scrambling just like Charlie did. He's getting frustrated trying to get out of there. And in his frustration and his attempts to get out, he wakes up Charlie, who's been asleep at the other end of the grave. Charlie looks over and sees the man trying to get out and says in this kind of half asleep, hoarse voice, "Oh, there's no use trying now. You'll never get out of this grave tonight." But of course, Patrick did. He found the voice inspiring and motivating. And so I've always wondered, what does it take to get us really inspired and really motivated? Really motivated. And if we do get inspired and if we do get motivated, what strengths, what abilities will we discover? Talking about Joseph Campbell's books on the hero's journey always begins with an apparently ordinary person. Can be any kind of a person. The person in a usual situation. Well, Charlie and Patrick cutting across the churchyard, heading home just like they always do. Or it could be you and me out in our community, and then something happens. We fall into a grave or some other kind of a hole, or we find ourselves in a rut, or we get lost, or something happens to disturb our usual routines and our usual plans. Maybe we just begin to notice something that stirs a long forgotten curiosity or a longing within us. It may not seem like anything really big at the time. It doesn't have to be huge. But each diversion from our ordinary lives, our planned routines, offers the possibility of experiencing what Campbell would call a hero's journey, a journey of transformation. Now, because the hero's journey includes the word hero, we may think heroes. Oh, that's people like, Admiral Byrd exploring the North Poles, or people, canoeing down up the Nile River to discover the source, or, mythical heroes, so heroes of literature like Ulysses, taking his Odyssey of Parsifal in England, mystical journeys. Because we're in a church, we might think of heroes like Jesus or Moses, right? Or Lao Tzu or the Buddha, each a hero in their own spiritual quest, spiritual journey. But what about you and me? What about you and me? Has your life yet put you on a journey where you were called to be a hero of your life, of your situation in some way? Maybe to move past some looming threat or challenge? Or maybe to pursue some quest or mission you feel called toward? When I heard Kevin talking about this, I thought, for a lot of us, the year 2020 was a significant diversion from our usual routines and our ordinary lives. Lots of things got turned upside down, and it appears like this is continuing. People around us are acting differently. Some people are upset, angry, fearful, right? Others are finding ways to respond with helpfulness, compassion. Social rules and interactions seem to be in a state of flux, shifting, right? Sometimes quite unpredictably. Last March, I was planning to take my wife to the ballet on Friday, March the 13th, when we got told that we were to lock down and stay home for a month or two. And then, a couple more months. And here we are now. And even as we see hope in 2021, we're still caught up in this ongoing uncertainty. As I thought about that, I thought, wow, that's the calling to a hero. That's the calling to a hero's journey. And so the question is, how will the hero or the heroine in you respond to the situations around you? Will you be called to step forward and be a helpful hero to others, or simply to live your own life more heroically? Is part of you being called up to be more spiritually brave? Again, the hero's journey always begins right in our ordinary daily lives. It begins when we encounter a difficulty, a problem, a challenge. Something pushes us out of the ordinary, out of the familiar. And as we move into and ultimately through the challenge, we begin to encounter other parts of ourselves that we have previously overlooked. You know, we might actually find the physical strength and the physical motivation to leap right out of a grave. Or we might find the more subtle mental keenness or attentiveness that helps us move through the situation in new ways that we had never thought of before. We might actually be forced to tap into our intuitive or spiritual selves for guidance, to know what is mine to do. We all have lots of untapped abilities. That's part of what the Fillmores talked about with unity. Things that we've overlooked and neglected as we wandered through our ordinary lives. But it's the challenge, or sometimes the inner calling, that causes us to need to look at these, find these, recognize them, and grow. As I was reminding myself that, no matter what seems to be going on around me, I'm never just a victim. I'm always a spiritual co-creator. Never just a victim. Always a spiritual co-creator. And as I thought about that, I began wondering, wow, how many of these challenges, how many of these callings we feel inside are literally an inner summons from our own spirit or soul, from parts of us that want to be made known, parts of us that want to be named, parts that want us to experience the greatness, the hero that lies dormant, that lies sleeping inside us as we wander kind of half attentively through our daily lives. I can almost imagine our spirit or our soul just being delighted as we choose to step up and move beyond whatever limits we have inadvertently self-imposed. Hear that. The limits we have inadvertently self-imposed. Well, I hopped online. I read a little more about the hero's journey specifically. And here's a little overview of some of the steps often found in the hero's journey. It starts off in the ordinary situation, wandering home through the neighborhood churchyard or whatever. Then there's the problem or the crisis, right? The hole or the problem. Or maybe in some cases, simply the inner call to explore beyond the boundaries of our own little village where we've lived, our own ordinary little lives and routines. And with the problem comes the summons for the inner hero or the inner heroine. And the question always is, will we respond? Will we try to ignore it? And how will we respond? Another common feature of heroes' journeys is, along the way, we discover allies and helpers that we wouldn't have found if we had not taken the journey. We discover allies and helpers, often unexpectedly. And I don't know about you, but I can think of some of the unplanned journeys I've had to take. Some of the helpers didn't really look like helpers initially when I first met them. I wouldn't have called them that to start with. They were. Like Charlie speaking from the dark end of the grave, a helper. The other thing that happens along the journey is, in addition to the initial obstacle or problem, often other little obstacles, other little situations arise along the way that you have to overcome. That's not necessarily bad. We wouldn't call forth all of our resources if that didn't happen. obstacles are not necessarily a problem. You know, a minister friend of ours in San Diego, Wendy Craig Purcell, did a beautiful series of talks on a book by Ryan Holiday called The Obstacle is the Way. The obstacle is the way. It takes some quotes from Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who had written a little book, and looks at those to talk about how the obstacle is often the way. Anyway, obstacles and challenges that we need to surmount in addition to the initial problem. The other thing that shows up along the hero's journey often are distractions, or distractors, sometimes in the form of people. Things that we need to notice, but then move beyond, because that's not where we're headed. The cutest example or comment of that I can think of is I was once in Michael's buying some crafts of art supplies, I guess, and the girl at the checkout counter had on this wonderful t-shirt. It was a black t-shirt with sparkly writing on it, and the sparkly writing said, "I was planning to save the world today, but I got distracted by something shiny." How many of us have set off to do something and gotten distracted by something shiny? Part of the hero's journey is to notice the shiny things, but not to get distracted. And yeah, sometimes the hero makes a wrong turn, goes down a path that isn't the one that is his or hers to take, and has to backtrack. We've all had to do that some. I've had to do a little of that recently myself. But ultimately, the hero's journey is simply you or me stepping up to the challenges or the callings that present themselves in our lives, moving through them, moving past the obstacles, past the distractions, and growing and learning and encountering more of ourselves along the way and being transformed. So as we step into our hero's journey, as our callings show up or our challenges, we begin to experience the hero or the heroine within us. And we learn more about our spiritual selves. We learn that we can go far beyond, that we are far more than simply the limits of our body or our mind alone. Whenever we can look at our life, our circumstances, and I'm talking about all the parts of it, as a journey that our own spirit or our own soul is pointing out for us to make, right? Oh, look, Jim, notice over there. Look at that. Pay attention to that. My spirit, my soul, pointing that out. And then supporting me and helping me move through it. As I notice that and as I step up to that, I know within myself, I have found two things. I've found greater strength, and I've found more hope through each step along the way. It's important to point out that the hero's journey is not a one-time journey. It's not something that we take, oh, okay, I've made my hero's journey. Now I'm going to go back and sit in my little village and doze. That's not what happens. In the hero's journey, the hero does often find him or herself back in their hometown, but they're different. They're not the person they were when they left. They're transformed. They're connected with a much larger sense of life and spirit. And from that place, they can be helpful to the people around them. And they can also be more ready for the next journey that shows up for them. For the next call to be a hero. To be a hero. Well, if we can learn to view 2021, and maybe even 2020, as our souls or our spirit's own calling to step up and be the hero or the heroine that we are, then we will not resist the challenges and the changes and the callings that present themselves. You know, in New Thought, in unity, in spiritual practices, we often say, I want to transform. I want to grow. Well, says your spirit. Well, says your soul. Well, says the universe. Here's the opportunity. Here's the opportunity right in front of you. Opportunity to find the hero or the heroine within you I would suggest the spiritual hero. The good news is we have support, okay? We have things like spiritual teachings and principles that we can use as guidance, as help along the way. We have a unity community and our various spiritual friends to support us. And here's an interesting thought. Within each one of those apparently ordinary friends lies another hero or heroine, just like the one in us. So that's my message and my call for today. To notice the summons of the hero or the heroine, to step up and accept it, to step into the challenges, to step into the changes, to step into the callings as the spiritual hero, and to allow yourself to be grown and transformed through each journey you take, through each journey you take. Well, as usual, I have provided a little affirmation, which I will get up here on the screen in just a second. A little affirmation for today. There we go. Click. All right. And you can put in the proper word for you, hero or heroine, either way. Together, let's read this. I call forth the spiritual hero within me as I trustingly step up to the challenges and callings of this year. Again, I call forth the spiritual hero or heroine within me as I trustingly step up to the challenges and callings of this year. Say it out loud, if you will, one more time. I call forth the spiritual hero within me as I trustingly step up to the challenges and callings of this year. Close your eyes and see how that feels. To call forth that which is already in you, that which your own spirit and soul knows is there, knows as you. To step up to the challenges, to step up to the callings that present themselves, to those that your spirit or soul point out to you this year. To be the hero, to be the heroine of your own life. And through your transformation, to also be better able to be a transformational presence for your family, for your community, for your world. I call forth the spiritual hero or heroine within me as I trustingly step up to the challenges and callings of this year. Well, that's my thoughts for this week. Hopefully that is helpful. You can go back and reference those books that I mentioned. They're all pretty easy to find. Maybe you'll find some other things along the way. That's how the journey works. We discover new things along the way. Well, we're coming up to the time where we're going to ask you to help support this Unity ministry, Unity of Charlotte. It functions, it survives, it thrives based on your support. No benefactors in this church, just ordinary folks like you and me stepping up. So there's a couple ways that you can support us. One of the easiest ways is as close as your cell phone. And that way, and I'll share a screen here again, that way is simply to go to unityofcharlotte.org and click on the donate button. If you'd rather send a check or donate another way, you can contact Unity of Charlotte at 401 East Arrowwood Road. and donate by sending your check or donation to them at that address. Same address, same address. So I'm going to invite us at this point. I've got to move this. Back up. There we go. I'm going to invite us at this point to share together our prosperity blessing. Our prosperity blessing, an affirmation. So just hold in your mind and in your heart whatever gift you would love to give Unity of Charlotte today. Whatever gift you would love to give, just hold it in your heart and in your mind. And as you do that, together we say, joyously, I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. All right. And we thank you in advance for your tithes and offerings. Again, that is how we continue doing what we do here at Unity of Charlotte, which is getting ready to do a lot more. So look for that as 2021 goes forward. I'll invite you after we do our prayer of protection to hang on the line, to stay around for some of what's going to be happening after this service. You can say hi to your friends for a few minutes, and then I guess we have a little prayer and meditation coming up, which is perfect for this time in our lives and in our communities. So let me find our prayer of protection. There we go. There we go. And let's just take a nice breath. And I'm going to invite you, as I do sometimes, to imagine, well, first off, to reach out and take the hand of the person beside you if there is a human being sitting beside you. If there does not appear to be anybody sitting beside you, reach out and take the hand of the angel or the spiritual being on either side of you, because trust me, you're not alone. Reach out and take that unseen hand. And together we say, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Amen.